Okay, so I said last week that if I wasn't able to get to Alton Towers within the week or so, this would be the video that I would be making for this channel, since I don't actually have anything else to upload for this week. The likelihood is actually that I'm not going to be able to get back to Alton Towers until it opens from the 10 AM until 4 PM, because even though I am at the park for a shorter time period, but there's evidence out there that I could get on more rides and have more ride time than I would in a 10 AM to 6 PM or 10 AM to 5 PM period. So for me, Alton Towers is a no-go zone at the moment until the opening hours change. So in the next couple of weeks or so until then, I will have some stuff to upload, but I won't say what they are until next week's video. So let's just get on top with what this video is about. So last week I said that if I wasn't going to get to Alton Towers, I was going to make a video about my wish list for flat rides at Alton Towers. So I only have 4 on this list, because considering the fact that there are 4 spaces where the temporary flat rides are, so I thought I'd take this as an opportunity to share my thoughts on what I would like to see at Alton Towers in terms of flat rides. Yeah, so something I want to point out before getting into this wish list is that I'm going to be restricting this to rides that the UK has never seen before, rides that have never fallen under UK ownership, or rides that are relatively new to the thrill ride market. So with that being said, let's just get on with this. I'm actually going to get the first one out of the way. Now, I have mentioned previously this machine in a couple of previous videos, mainly involving the Super Trooper being leaked, and maybe about a few more flat rides going in, so I'm going to keep this brief. So this comes back to the Forbidden Valley spot, which was where Ripsaw was, as people have called for something else to be in the spot, mainly because it's just been filled with inflatables and games and people just weren't happy with and just wanted to see something more thrilling there. And even park staff has said the same thing to me. So the ride I would like to see on the Ripsaw spot, which is currently minded by the Super Trooper, is one of these. Now this is an X-Drive and it is made by Dutch company KMG. Now, as of recording this, there are only 2 of these rides in the world. You have one that is travelled by Jana Otten in the Netherlands, which was actually the first of this ride built, and there's another one travelling in Germany under the theming and the name Rock and Roll. Now, so far they've only been built as travelling models. However, KMG can build this ride as a park model, and the other thing they can also do is double the capacity from 32 from 16, because like I said before in a previous video, that a 16 capacity ride of that kind is not going to be ideal for the park, and it's not going to be ideal for the crowd numbers. So the thing I was saying about the X-Drive being able to have the capacity doubles was it would be able to have a row of seats of 4 instead of rows of 2, because take this for example, like on the Speed 32. So this would what a row of 4 of seats would look like if KMG doubled the capacity on the X-Drive to 32. And yeah, it would be interesting to see KMG pull this off, because I really feel that this is a unique, the UK has never seen one of these before, and it is relatively new, so I do feel it has a place on the film market, particularly at Alton Towers, maybe some other Merlin parks, but I do feel that if themed right with the Forbidden Valley theming, it would be a perfect addition to the Forbidden Valley area of Alton Towers. The next ride I'm going to be going on to is one for the former submission spot. So this is the space that's currently minded by the Jumper Jumper, which is being rethemed as Mixtape. So there is a ride similar that I would like to see on this area. It does involve jumping arms, but slightly different motion, and also the seats will spin around 360 degrees from... I'm not quite sure which angle it is, but rather than spinning round horizontally, they will spin at the rider's front fluid, which I didn't really know where I was going. So anyway, this is the ride I would like to see. Now this ride is actually an In Control made by the Fabri Group in Italy. Now so far, this ride has not been made as a park model, hence why I'm showing the concept. Now the ride does have 12 arms, so it will seat 24 riders, which should be an ideal capacity for Alton Towers. Now, at the moment, regarding the park model, we haven't seen any of those yet, as I've just recorded this, I've just said earlier. However, the Fabri Group are currently working on a travel model which has 8 arms and seats 16 riders. Now, something like that would not be ideal because of the lower capacity, same situation with the X-Drive, hence why the 12-arm model would suit the market for Alton Towers better. I don't know if they'll be able to add more arms onto the ride. It will be interesting to see if they could do that. But with how unique this ride is, I do feel that the X Sector has some brilliant theming opportunities for something like this. And yeah, that's just about as far as I can go with that particular one, because there's not a lot I really have to say about this. Now moving on to something for the World of David Walliams, which is where the Sizzler is currently sitting, which has been rethemed as Fabio's Fabulous Fandango, which is still a tongue twister for me. I still haven't worked that out. Now, I've got to be careful with my choice for this one because it is a sort of family-themed area, given the target audience for David Walliams' children's books. Now, I would rather see a family thrill in this area because I feel it would be ideal for the park visitors and the park areas who are going into that area of the park. Messing up words there, I'm sorry about that. So, I feel like a family thrill would be more ideal for this particular spot in the park. And the ride I have in mind is one of these, which is a Zamperla Nebula Z. Now, the best way I can describe this ride is if you take two boosters, put them on the same pole, then take another four and rotate them 90 degrees, put them on the same pole, and then have that pole spinning, this is pretty much what you'll get. So it does seat 32 riders, which is a very ideal capacity for the park, and especially for the World of Walliams as well, even though, considering the queue time to Gangster Granny the rider's been getting. Now, the loading for this is also pretty ideal because it can load 16 riders at a time rather than just 8 because I was curious about how the loading process worked until I saw videos of it in action. And yeah, so the one thing I will say is I am a little bit disappointed that the cars do not flip like they do on the boosters, but I do feel like that would be a bit too intense for the target audience of the World of Walliams, and I do feel that the regular Zamperla Nebula Z, where the cars do not flip and spin perfectly in time with the arms on the ride. Yeah, I feel like, but also because there has been a call for some UK theme park enthusiasts to see this ride at a UK park. I can't recall some names at the top of my head, but people do want to see this ride at a park in the UK, and I do feel that if themed right, maybe they could just recycle the Fabulous Fandango re-theme from the Sizzler, because that theme would fit brilliantly with the Zamperla Nebula Z if they were to put that one in the park. Now, the fourth and final ride on this wish list is going to be for the Dark Forest, which is where the Thunderdome Waltzer, rethemed as Roller Disco, is currently sitting. Now, I've had to be careful with this choice, particularly with the spot where the waltz currently is, because I do feel like that with the trees and other surroundings of the Dark Forest, they may have limited space to play with in terms of what could go on this spot. So I feel like that's, I was going to say a drop tower, but the UK already has had drop towers. However, the direction I'm going with this is a kind of drop tower that the UK has never really seen before, although it's never came to a UK theme park or has never fallen under UK ownership. And that type of ride is a gyro freefall tower. So if you've been to the likes of Hyde Park Winter Wonderland, you may be familiar with a tower called Hangover, which is brought in from Ewald Schneider in Germany. Travels on the German circuit a lot, and also there was a Dutch-owned gyro freefall tower called the Mine Tower, which made an appearance at Edinburgh, I think it was Winter Wonderland, and also made an appearance at Cardiff Winter Wonderland the following year. Now, in terms of the gyro freefall tower that could go on the spot, they would have to be careful with the height of the ride. Like, for example, if they go for an 80-metre drop tower, which would be pretty awesome, I personally think, to see at Alton Towers, but they've got to think about the noise it will generate. Will sound be an issue? Or will it ruin the overall atmosphere and ruin the views and the beauty spots at Alton Towers? So maybe a 40 or 50 metre tower could do perfectly at the park. In theory, Funtime, the Austrian manufacturer who build most of the gyro freefalls travelling nowadays on the European fair circuit, now those are usually 80 metres, some are even 90 metres. I think Ordelman's one, which is in the Netherlands, is 90 metres tall, if I recall correctly. Now, the thing with this is, I do feel that a 40-metre version of the gyro freefall tower would be a perfect addition to the park. With that ride, I do feel that in the Dark Forest there are plenty and loads of theming opportunities around the drop tower in terms of how it could fit in the themed area of the park. So yeah, I do feel like there are a ton of theming opportunities and directions that Alton Towers could take this with a gyro freefall tower in the Dark Forest, because yeah, there are a lot of ideas that would fit perfectly that I would have in mind, but I'd be making more of a mess of this video than I already am, so I'm just keeping this as brief as I can. So with all that being said, that's really all I have to touch up on the topic. I kind of rushed this one because of the amount of stuff I've had outside of the channel to get done, and the fact that I haven't really scripted this, and also the fact that I'm actually recording this the day before this goes out, so I haven't really thought this one through, I will admit. But for next week's video, it could be something of a rarity, because I'm not going to be able to make it to Alton Towers within the next week or so. There will be something for next week's video, but I'm not going to say what that is. It will be something of a rarity, like I just said, but I'm going to just wait for the video to be released next week, because I feel like it should be self-explanatory. So with all that being said, thank you so much for watching this absolute wreck of a video, and see you later.